Song Jihun is a middle-aged man struggling with financial issues. He lives with his mother and is deeply in debt due to gambling. His financial situation worsens as he borrows money from loan sharks and bets on horse racing, only to lose most of it. While trying to win back some cash, Jihun steals money from his mother's account to buy a gift for his daughter, Jae-young, whom he has neglected due to his unstable life. Despite his efforts, the gift turns out to be a toy gun lighter, inappropriate for a child, highlighting his inability to make responsible decisions. At a subway station, a well-dressed man, the salesman, approaches Jihun and invites him to play a game of dokji, a traditional Korean game involving flipping paper tiles, for money. After losing repeatedly and being slapped as punishment, Jihun eventually wins some cash and gains the salesman's trust. The salesman gives Jihun a card with a phone number and invites him to participate in more games with a much larger cash prize. Desperate and intrigued, Jihun calls the number and is instructed to meet at a specific location. He is picked up in a van along with other participants. The van emits a gas, knocking everyone unconscious. Jihun wakes up in a dormitory with 455 other players, all wearing green tracksuits. The players are identified by numbers, and Jihun is assigned the number 456. Jihun meets with other players, including Cho Sang-woo, his childhood friend, Sa-byeok, a pickpocket who previously stole from him, and Oh-nam, an elderly man with a carefree attitude. The setting is controlled and heavily monitored by masked guards in pink uniforms. The guards are armed and enforce strict rules. A masked figure, known as the front man, explains the rules of the games. They will participate in 6 games, and the winner will receive a large cash prize. A large piggy bank suspended above the room is shown, representing the prize money. This becomes a visual symbol of their motivation throughout the series. The participants are informed that they can leave if the majority agrees, but if they choose to stay, they must follow the rules, or they will face severe consequences. The players are confused, scared, and skeptical. Many are desperate due to financial struggles, which is why they agree to participate despite the unclear stakes. The total number of players is revealed to be 456, each assigned a number. The protagonist, Song Jihun, is player 456. The front man, the leader of the operation, oversees everything from a control room. The players are led to an outdoor area resembling a playground. The first game is revealed, red light, green light. The rules are simple. The survivors begin to understand the rules and try to focus on finishing the game within the 5-minute limit. The doll continuously scans the field to catch any movement, creating intense pressure. Players must move toward a finish line when a giant animatronic doll says, green light, and must stop immediately when it says, red light. Any movement detected after red light results in elimination. Initially, players assume elimination means disqualification. However, when the first player is shot and killed, the horrifying reality becomes clear. During the game, Jihun stumbles and nearly falls after panicking when he sees the carnage around him as players are eliminated. Ali, a kind and strong contestant, catches Jihun just in time, preventing him from falling and ensuring he stays still. Jihun barely survives, narrowly escaping detection by staying still at the right moments. Players who didn't manage to cross the finish line by the time the clock hit 0 were also eliminated, killed. This underscores the brutal nature of the game. Survival requires not just following the rules but also meeting strict time constraints. The survivors of the first game reeling from the trauma. Over 200 players were killed during red light, green light, leaving 201 survivors. The players demand an explanation from the masked guards and the frontman, who reminds them of the rules. Players may leave the game if the majority agrees to do so. However, leaving means forfeiting the prize money. The guards reveal the enormous cash prize of 45.6 billion won, $38 million, which is displayed in a large glass piggy bank suspended above the dormitory. Each eliminated player adds 100 million won, Korean currency, to the pot. A vote is held to decide whether to continue the games. Players are told the decision will be made democratically. The vote is tense, with the decision teetering between continuing and leaving. Ultimately, the deciding vote falls to Oh-nam, player 001, the elderly man, who chooses to end the game. The majority votes to leave, and the players are released back into the real world. Back in their lives, the players face the harsh realities that drove them to the game in the first place. Jihun goes to the police station to report the game to the authorities. However, the police dismiss his claims, thinking he's delusional. Seong Jihun, player 456, struggles with his debts, his strained relationship with his daughter, and his mother's worsening health. He learns his mother has diabetes and needs expensive medical care. Cho Sang-woo, player 218, Jihun's childhood friend, is revealed to be deeply in debt despite his prestigious education and career. He faces arrest for financial fraud. Sa-byeok, player 067, the North Korean defector, tries to secure money to bring her family to South Korea and protect her younger brother, who is in an orphanage. Abdul Ali, player 199, the migrant worker, is exploited by his employer and struggles to support his family after not being paid for months. Jang Deok-soo, player 101, a gangster, faces threats from his enemies due to his mounting debts. Junho is introduced as a young, determined police officer who is searching for his missing brother, Junho. He becomes suspicious when Seong Jihun reports the strange occurrences of the game to the police but is dismissed as delusional. Junho connects the disappearance of his brother to the mysterious organization behind the games. After noticing a business card with the same symbol Jihun described, Junho decides to investigate further on his own. Jihun also discovers that his ex-wife's family plans to move to the US with his daughter, leaving him feeling even more powerless. Despite their temporary freedom, the players realize their lives outside the game are equally, if not more, oppressive. Each of them receives a card with the game's contact number, giving them the option to return. Overwhelmed by their circumstances, many decide to rejoin the deadly competition. One by one, players decide to call the number and are picked up again in the same manner, knocked unconscious and transported to the game arena. After identifying the mysterious business card associated with the games, Junho tails one of the vans transporting participants to the game facility. When the van carrying the players stops at a checkpoint, Junho observes one of the workers, masked and dressed in a red jumpsuit, stepping out of the vehicle. Junho seizes the opportunity, subdues the worker, and takes his uniform and mask, assuming his identity. Disguised as one of the masked workers, Junho boards the van carrying unconscious players to the game facility. He observes the operations, maintaining a low profile to avoid detection. Once inside, Junho begins navigating the strict and mysterious hierarchy of the masked workers. Each assigned a specific role based on the shape of their mask, circle, triangle, or square. He carefully follows orders and learns more about the facility while trying to avoid suspicion. 187 remaining players woke up in the dormitory after voluntarily re-entering the game. Each player reaffirms their motivation to participate, desperation for money to escape poverty, pay off debts or help their families. Seong Jihun, player 456, forms a loose alliance with Cho Sang-woo, player 218, Abdul Ali, player 199, and Onam, player 001. Sa-byeok hides a small knife on her person by tapping it into her body. This shows her resourcefulness and foresight. During the night, she pretends to go to the restroom but instead sneaks into the air vents of the facility. From her vantage point in the vents, she spots workers preparing sugar and molds for the second game. Although she doesn't fully understand what the preparation means, she recognizes it as a clue about the next game. The players are brought to a playground-like setting for the second game. They are instructed to choose one of four shapes: circle, triangle, star, or umbrella. Each player must stand by their chosen shape, but they are not told what the game involves beforehand. Sang-woo, suspecting the nature of the game, does not warn his teammates about the possible risk. The players are handed a metal tin containing a piece of dalgona, a Korean honeycomb candy. The objective is to carefully carve out the shape using a needle without breaking the candy. If the candy cracks or breaks, the player is eliminated, by execution on the spot. Players struggle to carve out their shapes, and panic ensues as the difficulty becomes apparent. The umbrella shape is the most challenging, while the triangle is the easiest. Several players fail and are shot by the guards, creating a tense and terrifying atmosphere. Jihun notices that licking the back of the candy helps dissolve the sugar and makes it easier to carve the shape. He uses this technique to successfully cut out the umbrella shape, narrowly surviving. His discovery inspires other players, some of whom also begin licking their dalgona to increase their chances of survival. Many players fail to carve out their shapes without breaking the candy and are executed on the spot by the guards. The intense atmosphere reinforces the high stakes of the games and the ruthless enforcement of the rules. Following the honeycomb challenge, the survivors return to the dormitory, shaken by the deaths of the eliminated players. The players are served boiled eggs and soda for dinner. However, the food portions are intentionally small, leading to tension and frustration among the group. Deok-soo and his gang take extra portions, depriving others of food. This provokes a fight between Deok-soo and another player, ending with the guards allowing Deok-soo to kill the player without intervention. This act reinforces the message that there are no rules protecting players outside the official games. Further amplifying the fear and chaos, Player 111 is a doctor who secretly provides medical treatment to the guards and workers while using his position to access critical information. As a way to maintain secrecy, he participates in this underground scheme where the body parts of eliminated players are stolen and sold to the highest bidder. This is a dark, hidden aspect of the Squid Game world, revealing the exploitation that happens not only to the participants but also among the staff. Jang Deok-soo, the gangster, begins asserting his dominance over the group. He recruits a gang of followers, including Han Minayo, who tries to align herself with Deok-soo for protection. Minayo uses manipulation, flirting, and false promises to stay close to Deok-soo, but her loyalty to him is self-serving and tenuous. That night, the lights in the dormitory are abruptly turned off, and chaos erupts. Deok-soo and his gang use the darkness to attack and kill other players, reducing the competition and asserting their dominance. The massacre creates a terrifying atmosphere as players scramble to hide or defend themselves. The guards and the front man watch silently, allowing the violence to unfold. Seong Jihun, Cho Sang-woo, Kang Sa-byeok, Abdul Ali, and Oh-nam band together for protection. Oh-nam, the elderly player, climbs onto a high bed and begs everyone to stop, which temporarily halts the fighting. Meanwhile, Junho, the undercover police officer disguised as a guard, continues his investigation. He discovers more about the facility and the guards' activities, piecing together clues about the games and the people running them. The next day, the guards announce the third game, and the players are instructed to form teams of 10. This creates panic and strategic maneuvering as players try to form the strongest groups. Deok-soo uses his gang to build a team of physically strong men, while Jihun and his group struggle to recruit members. They reluctantly accept Minayo after failing to find anyone else. The players are taken to a high platform where they face off in a traditional tug-of-war match. The twist: the losing team is pulled off the platform and falls to their deaths. Jihun's team is at a disadvantage because it includes weaker members like Oh-nam and Minayo, while Deok-soo's team is physically stronger. Despite their perceived weakness, Jihun's team uses strategy to compensate. Oh-nam suggests a method to maximize their chances. Spread out evenly along the rope. Lean back to maintain tension and prevent the other team from gaining an advantage. Use coordinated timing to pull together in unison. The strategy initially works, but the opposing team regains control. Jihun's team executing Sang-woo's last-ditch strategy during the tug-of-war game. They take 3 steps forward, catching the opposing team off guard and making them lose their balance. Using this opening, Jihun's team pulls with all their strength, eventually sending the opposing team plummeting to their deaths. The team barely survives, and their relief is palpable as they are pulled back to safety. Jihun's team returns to the dormitory, deeply shaken by their near-death experience. The brutal reality of the competition weighs heavily on them. Deok-soo, player 101, and his gang are visibly angry about losing their chance to eliminate Jihun's team. The tension between the two groups grows. With their numbers dwindling, the players become increasingly paranoid. Trust is scarce, and alliances are fragile. Sang-woo, player 218, begins to show a colder, more calculating side. His pragmatic approach to survival distances him emotionally from the others. Minayo, player 212, having been rejected by Deok-soo after helping him in earlier games, feels betrayed and begins to plot revenge. the players prepare for another night of potential violence in the dormitory. Jihun's team sticks together, keeping watch in shifts to protect themselves from Deok-soo's gang. Junho, the undercover police officer, continues to explore the inner workings of the facility. Disguised as a guard, he discovers that some of the staff are engaged in illicit activities. A group of corrupt guards is revealed to be secretly harvesting organs from deceased players to sell on the black market. They smuggle the organs out of the facility and are led by one of the game's doctors, Byung-gi, player 111, who was secretly recruited to help them. Byung-gi becomes increasingly anxious and paranoid. The constant threat of death and the guards' lack of transparency about their plans push him to his breaking point. The guards involved in the operation, including Byung-gi, are executed for their betrayal. This reinforces the frontman's control over the facility and his commitment to maintaining the game's rules. Junho infiltrates deeper into the facility and uncovers critical information, including files about previous games and the identities of participants. He finds a list of winners and learns that his missing brother, Hwang In-ho, participated in, and possibly won, a past game. This revelation intensifies Junho's determination to expose the truth and find his brother. Junho observes these events while maintaining his cover, gathering more evidence about the operation. He has made his way to a higher-level area within the facility, where he listens to that VIPs are coming. With only 40 players left, the stakes are higher than ever, and each remaining contestant grows more desperate. Jihun and his team try to remain united and prepare for whatever the next game might bring. The guards announce the next game, and the players are led into a courtyard designed to look like a small, colorful village. They are told to pair up into teams of 2, causing chaos as players scramble to find partners. Jihun partners with Oh-nam, player 001. The elderly man, out of a sense of responsibility. Sang-woo pairs up with Abdul Ali. Kong Sa-byeok reluctantly teams up with another female player, Ji-young, player 240, a quiet young woman who has stayed in the background so far. Deok-soo pairs with one of his loyal gang members. Minao is left without a partner, as the number of players is odd. She is escorted away, seemingly disqualified, but her fate is not revealed immediately. Once the pairs are formed, the game's rules are announced. Each pair will compete against each other, not as a team. Each player is given a pouch containing 10 marbles, and the objective is to win all 10 marbles from their opponent within a 30-minute time limit. Players can use any method or game they choose to play with the marbles, be it guessing, betting, or inventing new games. The only rule is that violence is prohibited. The player who loses all their marbles will be eliminated. The players, many of whom paired up with trusted allies or friends, are devastated by the revelation that they must compete against each other. Jihun feels increasingly guilty for deceiving Oh-nam, but with his own survival on the line, he continues. In the final moments, Oh-nam reveals that he knew all along that Jihun was tricking him but chose to let him win because they are ganbu, a term that means trusted friend or partner in Korean. Oh-nam willingly accepts his fate and is seemingly executed as Jihun walks away in tears. Sang-woo begins the game on good terms with Ali, who trusts him implicitly. As Sang-woo starts to lose, he panics and resorts to manipulation. He convinces Ali to trust him with his marbles, proposing they work together to find a way for both to survive. Ali agrees and hands over his marbles, only to realize later that Sang-woo tricked him by replacing the pouch with stones. Ali is devastated when the guards take him away for elimination, realizing Sang-woo's betrayal. Sa-byeok and Ji-young spend most of their time talking rather than playing the game. Ji-young shares her tragic backstory. Her father killed her mother, and she ended up in prison for killing him in revenge. Ji-young bonds with Sa-byeok and admires her determination to reunite her family. When it's clear that only one of them can survive, Ji-young intentionally loses the game, sacrificing herself so Sa-byeok can live. Before being eliminated, Ji-young tells Sa-byeok to use the money to build a better life. Deok-soo uses intimidation and brute force to dominate his partner, eventually winning all the marbles. His selfish and violent nature continues to define his survival strategy. The survivors return to the dormitory, visibly shaken and grieving the loss of their partners and friends. Minao, who was left without a partner, is not eliminated. Instead, she is sent back to the dormitory. as the game requires pairs to compete, Jihun is haunted by his guilt over deceiving Onam, Junho, the undercover cop. He observes preparations for the arrival of the VIPs, a group of wealthy and powerful individuals who watch the games for entertainment. The VIPs, all wearing golden animal masks, arrive and are escorted to a luxurious viewing area to watch the upcoming game. They are treated to excessive luxury, highlighting their detachment from the suffering of the players. The remaining 17 players are escorted to a room where they are instructed to choose a numbered vest between 1 and 16, representing their position in the next game. Players hesitate to pick numbers, unsure whether earlier or later positions will be advantageous. Jihun ends up with number 16, the last position. After deliberating until the end, a player who chooses number 1, believing it to be a position of advantage, is visibly anxious as the game begins. The players are led to a massive arena featuring 2 parallel bridges made of glass panels suspended high above the ground. Each bridge consists of 2 rows of glass panels. Some panels are made of tempered glass, strong enough to hold a person's weight, while others are regular glass, which shatters under pressure. Players must cross the bridge by stepping on the tempered glass panels in the correct sequence to reach the other side. If they step on the wrong panel, they will fall to their deaths. The players must cross the bridge within a 16-minute time limit, and only one person can move at a time in their numbered order. Player 1 hesitates as the first to go, realizing the immense risk. After several moments of fear, he makes his first choice and falls to his death after stepping on the wrong panel, revealing how fragile the regular glass is. The subsequent players take turns, forced to either guess or rely on the progress of those before them. Each wrong guess results in a violent fall, horrifying the remaining players. Deok-soo, player 101, reaches the bridge and decides to block progress, refusing to move forward as time dwindles. He declares that anyone behind him can pass only if they push him off. Han Minayo, player 212, who has been nursing her grudge against Deok-soo for abandoning her earlier, confronts him on the bridge. In a dramatic moment, Minayo grabs Deok-soo and pulls him off the bridge with her, ensuring his death while sacrificing herself in the process. Meanwhile, Junho continues to investigate the VIPs and the facility. Disguised as a waiter, he overhears the VIPs discussing their bets on the players. One VIP, wearing a panther mask, takes an interest in Junho and coerces him into a private room. Junho uses the opportunity to incapacitate the VIP and gather evidence, including video recordings of the games. As more players fall, those at the back grow increasingly desperate. The number of survivors dwindles rapidly. One of the final players, a former glass factory worker, uses his knowledge to distinguish between the tempered and regular glass panels by observing the light refraction. His expertise helps the remaining players advance significantly. As they near the end of the bridge, Sang-woo, player 218, reveals his ruthless side once again. When the glassmaker hesitates to make the next move, Sang-woo pushes him to his death, ensuring his survival and that of Jihun and Sa-byeok. After Jihun, Sang-woo, and Sa-byeok successfully cross the bridge, the remaining time runs out. The bridge explodes, sending shards of glass flying in all directions. Sa-byeok is injured by a large piece of glass that cuts her abdomen, leaving her in visible pain as the 3 survivors are escorted back to the dormitory. The once crowded dormitory now feels hauntingly empty. The 3 players are given new, elegant clothing, a formal black suit, to symbolize their status as finalists. Sa-byeok's injury from the glass shards during the explosion is severe. She struggles to hide her worsening condition as she suffers from blood loss and visible pain. Jihun notices Sa-byeok's weakened state and offers her help. He suggests they team up against Sang-woo in the final game, fearing his increasing ruthlessness. Sa-byeok, however, expresses doubt about Jihun's ability to betray anyone. The 3 players are given a lavish meal consisting of steak, wine, and other luxurious dishes. None of the players speaks much, but all 3 exchange wary glances, knowing only one will leave alive. After the meal, the players are left with a single knife each, placed deliberately on the table. This foreshadows potential violence between the finalists. Junho, after incapacitating the VIP, escapes the facility and reaches the coastline. Using a phone he stole from one of the guards, he tries to send the evidence he gathered to the police. However, Junho's escape is cut short when he is confronted by the front man and the guards track him down. Cornered on a cliff, Junho refuses to surrender and demands to know why the games exist. In a dramatic reveal, the front man removes his mask, exposing his identity as Hwang In-ho, Junho's missing brother. Junho is stunned and tries to reason with In-ho, asking how he could participate in such atrocities. In-ho tries to persuade Junho to join him, but Junho refuses. In-ho shoots Junho, who falls into the ocean, leaving his fate uncertain. As the night progresses, Jihun notices Sa-byeok's condition worsening. She reveals that she was stabbed with a large shard of glass during the explosion and is struggling to stay conscious. Jihun, moved by her vulnerability, tries to comfort her. Sa-byeok opens up about her family, sharing her dream of reuniting with her younger brother and bringing her mother from North Korea. She asks Jihun to promise that, if he wins, he will help her brother and look after him. Jihun contemplates using his knife to kill Sang-woo while he is sleeping to protect Sa-byeok and increase their chances of survival. However, Jihun cannot bring himself to do it. While Jihun hesitates, Sa-byeok succumbs to her injuries. When Jihun rushes to get help for her, he realizes the guards have no intention of intervening. In a shocking moment, Sang-woo takes advantage of the distraction and kills Sa-byeok by slitting her throat, ensuring she doesn't make it to the final game. Jihun is devastated and furious. Jihun and Sang-woo standing in the arena for the Squid game, the titular final challenge. The rules are explained. The game is a traditional Korean children's game where one player, the attacker, must navigate through a diagram drawn on the ground and reach the home circle, while the other player, the defender, tries to stop them. Both players are given knives, signaling that physical combat is allowed. The game begins under dark, stormy skies, emphasizing the gravity of their final confrontation. Jihun and Sang-woo clash violently, with Sang-woo displaying his usual cunning and ruthlessness, while Jihun fights with desperation and raw emotion. The two exchange blows and Jihun manages to overpower Sang-woo. In a critical moment, Jihun gains the upper hand and has the chance to kill Sang-woo to win the game. As Jihun is about to deliver the final blow, he hesitates. Overcome with emotion and remembering their shared friendship, he decides not to kill Sang-woo. Instead, Jihun attempts to forfeit the game by walking away, declaring that they should both leave the competition alive. This would invoke Rule 3, allowing the games to end if a majority of players agree to stop. Sang-woo, however, refuses the offer. In a moment of acceptance and remorse, Sang-woo stabs himself in the neck with his own knife, effectively sacrificing himself. His dying words are a plea for Jihun to use the prize money to help his mother. Devastated, Jihun watches as Sang-woo dies, and he becomes the sole survivor of the Squid game. Jihun is blindfolded, placed in a car, and dropped off back in the city with a bank card containing the prize money, 45.6 billion won, approximately $38 million. Overwhelmed by guilt and trauma, Jihun struggles to adjust to life outside the games. Despite his newfound wealth, he isolates himself and refuses to use the money. Jihun discovers that Sa-byeok's brother is in an orphanage. Fulfilling his promise to her, Jihun arranges for the boy to be adopted by Sang-woo's mother. He also leaves a suitcase full of money with Sang-woo's mother to ensure they are financially secure. Jihun receives a mysterious invitation and is directed to a high-rise building. There, he finds Oh-nam, player 001, the elderly man he believed had died during the marble game, alive and lying in a hospital bed. Oh-nam reveals that he is the creator of the Squid game and one of the wealthy elites who orchestrated the games for entertainment. Bored with his immense wealth, Oh-nam and his associates created the competition to watch how desperate people behave when their lives are at stake. Oh-nam explains that he decided to participate in the games himself to relive the excitement of his childhood before succumbing to a terminal illness. In his final moments, Oh-nam proposes one last game. They watch a homeless man outside to see if anyone will help him before midnight. When someone does come to the man's aid, Oh-nam dies, leaving Jihun grappling with the revelation and the cruelty of the system Oh-nam represented. 1 year after winning the games, Jihun remains deeply traumatized and disconnected from his wealth. At the airport, Jihun prepares to board a flight to the United States to reunite with his estranged daughter. However, before boarding, he spots a man recruiting players for the Squid game, Just as Jihun was recruited in episode 1, Jihun retrieves the recruiter's card and calls the number, demanding answers. He speaks to the front man, who warns him to get on the plane and move on with his life. However, Jihun refuses and turns away from the gate. The episode ends with Jihun determined to uncover the truth behind the games and bring down those responsible. This final episode is a powerful conclusion to the season. If you enjoyed diving deep into the story, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to stay updated.